Imagine cities swallowed whole by the ocean, not centuries ago, but millennia. What if everything we thought we knew about human history, about civilization itself, was profoundly, astonishingly wrong? Beneath the crashing waves and silent depths of our oceans, secrets slumber. Some of these secrets aren't just ancient, they're impossible. They hint at forgotten worlds, lost knowledge, and events so cataclysmic they reshaped our planet, wiping away entire histories. We're talking about colossal structures, meticulously carved stones, and perplexing arrangements found at the bottom of the sea, dating back over 12,000 years. If confirmed, these discoveries don't just rewrite history, they obliterate it, forcing us to question everything we thought we knew about early human capability and civilization. Picture this. You're an archaeologist, but your dig site isn't in a dusty desert or a dense jungle. It's hundreds of feet beneath the ocean's surface, shrouded in perpetual twilight. And what you find isn't just an old shipwreck. It's a vast, intricate complex of stone bearing all the hallmarks of deliberate construction. This isn't a singular anomaly. Across the globe, from the Pacific to the Black Sea, astonishing discoveries have been made. Submerged structures that scream man-made. But here's the kicker. The geological evidence, the very rocks and sediment around them, points to an age of over 12,000 years. To put that into perspective, the pyramids of Giza are roughly 4,500 years old. Stonehenge, maybe 5,000. These underwater ruins predate nearly all known civilizations. They challenge the very bedrock of established archaeological understanding, which tells us that 12,000 years ago, our ancestors were hunter-gatherers, just starting to figure out agriculture. Certainly not engineering monumental architecture. These sites are often linked to a period of dramatic global upheaval known as the Younger Dryas. This wasn't just a cold snap. It was a cosmic punch that sent the planet reeling. And that connection between a global catastrophe and these impossible underwater cities creates a mystery so compelling, so profound, it keeps scientists and adventurers awake at night. This isn't just about finding old rocks. It's about confronting a potential missing chapter in humanity's story, a grand enigma that demands answers. And in doing so, questions everything we believe about our past. The core of this bewildering puzzle lies in two intertwined facts: the sheer age of these submerged sites and the undeniable sophistication of their construction. We're not talking about crude stone piles. We're talking about forms that seem to defy simple natural explanation, structures that appear to have been shaped and aligned with intention. Consider the Yonaguni monument off the coast of Japan. Discovered in the mid-1980s, this massive underwater rock formation is a geometric marvel. It features precise right angles, sharp edges, flat terraces, and even what looks like carved staircases and passages. It's roughly 100 meters long and 25 meters high, sitting in about 20-30 meters of water. Divers and some geologists argue that the scale and precision of these features, particularly the repeated identical patterns, are too regular to be purely natural. Imagine a giant, stepped pyramid, but carved directly out of the bedrock. Its proponents suggest it was sculpted when the area was above sea level, before being submerged by rising waters after the last ice age. placing its origins potentially 10,000 to 12,000 years ago. Then there are the intriguing discoveries in the Black Sea. As oceanographers explored the ancient coastline, they found what appeared to be ancient settlements now deep underwater. These weren't grand pyramids, but remnants of houses, tools, and what looked like agricultural structures, all buried under layers of sediment. The dating of these sites strongly suggests they were thriving communities before a catastrophic flood event, believed by some to be linked to the rapid infill of the Black Sea Basin around 7,500 years ago, which is still incredibly ancient, though not quite the 12,000-year mark. However, even older settlements, pushing closer to the Younger Dryas period, are continually being sought and debated. And let's not forget the controversial claims of structures near Cuba, such as the supposed Bimini Road and other geometric formations. These sites often present platforms, walls, and what some interpret as pyramidal shapes, all showing remarkable symmetry and order. While the geological debate rages on, the consistency of these forms across disparate locations is what truly hooks you. How could Mother Nature, in her infinite variety, sculpt such similar, almost architectural designs in so many different places? The significance of these dates cannot be overstated. If these formations are indeed man-made, they would mean that sophisticated human societies existed before the commonly accepted timeline for civilization began. They would have been building cities during a period of intense environmental flux, right at the cusp of the end of the last ice age. It's like finding a smartphone in a dinosaur fossil. It just doesn't fit the established narrative, and that's precisely why it's so compelling. To truly grasp the implications of these underwater marvels, we need to talk about the Younger Dryas. Imagine a world teetering on the brink of change. The last great ice age was slowly melting away, glaciers retreating, sea levels gradually rising. Then, around 12,900 years ago, something slammed the brakes on this warming trend, throwing the planet back into a deep freeze for over 1,000 years. Temperatures plummeted, ice sheets re-advanced, and global climate patterns went haywire. This wasn't just a bad winter. It was an abrupt, global climate catastrophe. What caused it? The prevailing hypothesis, and one that resonates deeply with the mystery of submerged cities, is that a comet or asteroid impact, or perhaps multiple impacts, triggered this sudden climate shift. This Younger Dryas impact hypothesis suggests that a shower of cosmic debris struck North America, unleashing an unimaginable inferno. The impact would have melted vast ice sheets, causing massive freshwater surges, triggering tsunamis, and sending colossal amounts of dust and debris into the atmosphere, blocking out the sun and plunging the Earth into an instant ice age. But here's where it gets truly fascinating. Such an event wouldn't just cause a deep freeze. It would also lead to massive seismic activity and, crucially, rapid, dramatic sea level changes, especially as vast amounts of glacial ice melted once the dust cleared, or due to the initial impact. A global flood, or a series of unprecedented mega tsunamis, would have been an inevitable consequence. Think about it. If an advanced society, or at least a highly capable one, existed along the coastlines of 12,000 years ago, they would have been utterly annihilated. Their cities, their cultures, Their entire existence could have been swallowed by the raging waters, buried under tons of sediment, and lost to time. This hypothesis elegantly explains how highly structured, seemingly man-made formations could end up deep underwater, miles from any current coastline, and predating all known civilizations. It suggests a civilization building on dry land only to be wiped clean off the map by a global cataclysm, their remnants now preserved, yet hidden beneath the waves. It's a terrifying thought, a global reset button pressed by the cosmos, erasing an entire chapter of human history. Of course, in the world of archaeology and geology, nothing so profound comes without fierce debate. The idea of advanced ancient civilizations existing 12,000 years ago is a paradigm shift, and shifts like these are met with healthy and sometimes not so healthy skepticism. The argument against these structures being man-made is powerful, and it comes primarily from mainstream geology. Skeptics argue that what we're seeing are simply incredibly intricate, naturally occurring rock formations. They point to the power of erosion, tectonic plate movements, and weathering over tens of thousands of years. They suggest that what look like platforms, walls, or even pyramid shapes are merely the result of natural geological processes like jointing, where rocks fracture along predictable planes, or natural erosion, sculpting soft rock into angular shapes. For example, some geologists contend that the Yonaguni monument is a natural sandstone formation, its geometric appearance merely an illusion caused by natural fault lines and water erosion, which often creates angular patterns. They argue that the human eye is wired to see patterns, and we tend to impose order on natural chaos. On the other side of the fence are the proponents, the divers, archaeologists, and geologists who believe the evidence for human intervention is simply too strong to ignore. They emphasize the consistent angles, the repeated geometric patterns, and the undeniable sense of order that pervades many of these sites. They point to features that appear to be carved steps, intricate channels, or even symbols and carvings at certain locations, which are difficult to attribute to random natural processes. How do you explain perfectly flat, parallel surfaces or sharp, precise 90-degree angles occurring repeatedly in a natural formation without some kind of intelligent design? They argue that while nature can be artistic, it rarely produces such consistent, repetitive, and geometrically perfect structures over such large areas. It's a classic tug-of-war between Occam's razor, the idea that the simplest explanation is usually the correct one, and the intriguing complexity of the evidence. Is it more likely that complex geological processes mimic sophisticated architecture, or that a forgotten human culture was capable of building on a scale we can barely comprehend for that era? The debate remains unsettled, a testament to the ambiguity and profound implications of these underwater enigmas. It's a bit like staring at a cloud that looks exactly like a rabbit. You know it's a cloud, but the resemblance is uncanny. But what if, in this case, the cloud repeatedly looks like a rabbit, a cat, and a dog, all in perfect scale? At some point, you have to wonder if it's more than just clouds. So, if these structures are so compelling, why haven't we definitively figured them out? Why isn't this front-page news every day? The answer lies in the immense, almost insurmountable challenges of underwater archaeology. Unlike digging in a desert, the ocean floor is an entirely different beast. First, there's the sheer cost. Exploring deep-sea sites isn't like renting a shovel and a sifter. It requires specialized submersibles, remotely operated vehicles, ROVs, with advanced cameras and manipulators, highly trained technical divers who can work in extreme conditions, and support vessels. All of this costs an astronomical amount of money. Funding for such speculative expeditions is notoriously difficult to secure, especially when many in the academic community remain skeptical. Then there's the time commitment. Imagine planning an expedition. It takes years of preparation, fundraising, logistical nightmares, and then the actual exploration itself is painstakingly slow. Every movement underwater is amplified by currents. Visibility can be zero, and the sheer pressure is a constant threat. What might take a week on land can take months or even years underwater. Mapping, photographing, and collecting samples in such an environment is incredibly time-consuming and often yields only small pieces of the puzzle at a time. And let's not forget the technical demands. The deeper you go, the more hostile the environment. Equipment needs to withstand immense pressure, cold temperatures, and corrosive salt water. Human divers face limits on depth and time, battling decompression sickness and hypothermia. Even advanced robotics have limitations in terms of dexterity and sensory perception compared to a human hand and eye. Finally, there's the incredibly fragile nature of submerged artifacts. Once something has been resting on the ocean floor for millennia, it becomes part of its environment. Bringing it to the surface can cause rapid degradation as it's exposed to oxygen, changes in temperature, and microbial activity. Specialized preservation techniques, often involving expensive desalination processes and climate-controlled environments, are required immediately upon recovery. Without these, a priceless artifact can turn to dust in a matter of days. This means that even if we find definitive proof, getting it out of the water and preserving it for study is another monumental hurdle. The ocean is a harsh mistress, and it guards its secrets fiercely. Let's play a game of what if. What if tomorrow irrefutable evidence emerged? A definitive artifact, a clear inscription, a human skeleton unearthed within one of these precisely carved structures. Undeniably dating back 12,000 years and unequivocally man-made? The repercussions would be nothing short of mind-blowing. First and foremost, it would necessitate a complete revolutionary revision of current historical timelines. The established narrative that complex civilizations began with Sumeria and Egypt around 5,000, 6,000 years ago would crumble. We would have to push back the dawn of complex human societies by thousands of years, forcing a rethink of every textbook, every archaeological theory. This would, in turn, demand a profound reconsideration of early humans' capabilities and technological advancements. If people were building colossal, geometrically precise structures 12,000 years ago, their understanding of engineering, mathematics, and even astronomy would have to be far more advanced than we currently credit them with. We picture hunter-gatherers, but these discoveries suggests something far more sophisticated, perhaps a level of ingenuity we've only just begun to recover in more recent history. Imagine having to explain how humans, with supposedly primitive tools, could achieve such feats. It would also raise incredibly profound questions about potential knowledge lost to time. If an advanced civilization existed and was then wiped out by a global catastrophe, what knowledge did they possess? What sciences, philosophies, or technologies vanished with them, swallowed by the waves and the ensuing chaos? Were they explorers, stargazers, builders on an epic scale whose memory was simply erased from the collective consciousness of later generations? Ultimately, the confirmation of these sites as truly man-made would suggest the very real possibility of advanced civilizations that predated those currently recognized. Not just a few scattered tribes, but organized, capable societies thriving on coastlines that are now deep beneath the ocean. It would be a stark reminder of humanity's resilience, but also our fragility in the face of planetary forces. And a tantalizing whisper of a much richer, much more mysterious human story than we ever dared to imagine. It would be a monumental shift, shaking the foundations of our understanding of who we are and where we come from. So, here we stand at the precipice of a grand unknown. The mystery of these 12,000-year-old underwater structures remains stubbornly, tantalizingly unsolved. On one hand, the evidence screams of intentional design, the precise angles, the repetitive patterns, the sheer scale. It points to something extraordinary, something that doesn't quite fit our historical puzzle. On the other hand, the vastness of geological time and the relentless forces of nature provide a convenient, albeit less thrilling, alternative explanation. The truth, for now, remains submerged, hidden beneath layers of ocean water, sediment, and scientific scrutiny. A combination of technological limitations, the prohibitive cost and difficulty of deep-sea exploration, and the very real scientific debate prevents a definitive answer. The ocean, our planet's greatest unknown, continues to guard its secrets with a cold, silent embrace. But this enduring enigma continues to spark fascination, fuel intense debate, and ignite the imaginations of millions. It reminds us that our understanding of the past is always incomplete, always open to revision, and that sometimes the biggest questions aren't found in dusty libraries or ancient ruins on land, but in the silent, swirling depths, where the forgotten echoes of an impossible past whisper to those brave enough to listen. What other secrets lie hidden beneath the waves? Click here to explore another deep-sea enigma.